Hello everyone, NeaGat here, and welcome to another match of Littlewargame. Today I am bringing you a game played on Cursed Temple AA4, and the two opponents we have is Rynus in the bottom left corner, playing the red pieces, as well as NorM in the bottom right corner, playing the blue pieces. Started us in the game in this match a couple minutes in, so 3 minutes in. Just to go ahead and go over the openers, Rynus has decided to go for a workshop first, into a castle, and then into a mill right after that, while his opponent NorM has gone for a castle first. So his opponent went workshop first, his NorM went castle first into a barracks. And then it looks like he is going to expand to a third castle at this point. So very interesting openers by both these players as of this point. Rynus making sure that he gets his mill up and running, which means that he's going to have a lot of gyrocraft harassment probably in a minute or so. But that also means that NorM has a very safe early game in this match. So while both these players are getting set up, I do want to thank Rynus for sending in this replay. If you have a replay that you want to submit so that I can cast it, I would love it if you send that replay or send that replay file to my Gmail account that I have in the description. As you may have also seen in the beginning of this YouTube video, there's a little bit of a cool introduction kind of thing. I'm recently getting into video editing. I'm trying to make the best content I can possibly make, and so I'm really curious to see what you guys think about it. Please leave a comment in the YouTube video and tell me what you think. Yeah, just tell me your thoughts on that, and that should be very helpful for what I can expect and what I can try and do. Looks like NorM has been able to see the fact that this gyrocraft is harassing his main base, and so thus he's kind of having to split up his archers. And so right off the bat, we can see that Rynus is getting a lot of value from having this much harassment going on in the early game, and so he's going to be able to see that NorM kind of started a little bit greedy. And then I wonder how he's going to respond to that. Okay, so he's getting a third base of his own is how he's responding to that. He's going to be able to see this third castle as well. So there, right away, Rynus is going to know that something indeed is very much up. Rynus not using his gyrocraft, but I don't think there would be... Actually, no, there is a relatively undefended worker line that Rynus could be harassing at the same time. So very interesting to see how both these players are playing out these initial moments in this game. I'm not quite sure how much NorM lost in that entire engagement. It looks like NorM lost 2 workers, while Rynus 2 workers and 2 archers, while Rynus has lost 3 Gatling guns. So even though NorM started out going for a much greedier play, doesn't look like he's had to pay for that greed in any regard. Definitely looks like he will be all right. But as we can see here, NorM or Rynus is getting value in the sense of the fact that these workers are not mining, and I believe for every second that the workers isn't mining, that is 1 resource. And the way that basically works is from going back and forth between the castle and the worker line or the gold base. Well, okay, 1 second per resource. So every time they go back and forth, they hold 5 resources, and that roughly takes about 5 seconds. So roughly 1 resource per second. So that's how I did the math. I remember I went into a custom game and kind of looked over, like, I was really curious about how fast workers mined, and then what I could try and do in theory craft and all that kind of stuff. Rynus going for a bird. That's very interesting. Probably a misclick at some point. So very curious to see. Oh, Rynus doing a very good job of sending his mechanical units back into his worker line, where he can leave his workers on auto repair, and they will automatically repair these gyrocrafts that would be coming back for a little bit of harassment duty. This would be very interesting to see if we see anything come of this unit engagement. Rynus does have some catapults at the same time. Gyrocraft in NorM's base, doing a little bit of harassment. NorM leaving just the right amount of archers at home to help deal with this. Actually, it does look like Rynus will be able to get a little bit of value from that, and as a result, NorM is forced to pull his workers off to the side. At the same time, it looks like NorM is getting ready for a 1, 2, 3, 4, a fifth base, potentially. At the same time, Rynus doing a lot of damage to his opponent's worker line here at the third base. This watchtower here is doing really well for NorM, actually, because it is blocking off any potential harassment there at that point. NorM pulling the workers back to this exposed mineral line. Actually, I don't know if he's seen what kind of economic damage this is going to do at this time, but it looks like NorM is also focusing on his units here, trying to go for this soldier run by right away. Rynus pulling workers to try and deal with this. NorM finally getting to his workers on time so that he can deal with that harassment. It looks like both players really focusing on trying to get their harassment game going on. They're not committing to anything, especially as we can see that Rynus's main army is still at home, and NorM's main army, if we keep an eye on units here. NorM doesn't have too much of a main army. This is probably the largest group of units that NorM has to put together. And so I'm very curious to see when NorM is going to try and establish a army composition that he is going to want to use for this engagement, for this game. Rynus expanding, though, so I'm very comfortable on what looks to be 3 bases, soon to be 4, I imagine. NorM on 5 bases, so let's go ahead and look at what that means economically here. It does mean that NorM is producing about 100 more resources than his opponent, and that is due to the fact that they are even actually on workers at this particular moment, but Rynus, as we can see, 6 workers there, having to pull back due to the fact that this soldier was doing a little bit of harassment. We did see a little bit of the tech here, so NorM did end up going for the Mage Guild. So in terms of tech, it does look like NorM is going for mages. I'm curious to see. And for Rynus, we did see the gyrocraft. I'm very curious to see the advanced workshop. Yes, something that Rynus has been doing recently is he's been going for catapult drops, where he stores 2 catapults in an airship, and then he researches +1 attack upgrades, and then he drops them, and they can 2-shot worker lines. That is something he's been doing more recently. This replay is a little bit older. I think it was sent to me a week or longer, possibly more. But I do know that recently Rynus has been playing a very exciting mech drop playstyle, especially during the beginning of the game. He's actually been replacing gyrocraft harassment with that mech drop as of recently. This is a very strong position for mech, though. As you can see, the catapults have the high ground. These Gatling guns are in support. It is basically impossible to approach anywhere on this ramp. The catapults are just going to destroy any army that comes up, and NorM is not going to have any vision of his opponent's army before it potentially gets crushed. As we can see at this particular moment, NorM is just now getting into vision range, and Rynus can see this entire army approach and can dish so much damage as a result. Rynus being able to scout a potential expand by NorM. NorM using that one soldier to just check, see how many bases Rynus is on, but man, this positioning it's practically perfect. I would like to see if NorM decides to go into priests eventually. He does have a lot of hurt units at this point, and be interesting to see if he decides to go for priests. Doesn't look like it at the moment. In fact, it looks like he's going for upgrades. So it looks like NorM trying to do a little bit of a mage run by of sorts. Definitely wants to move Rynus back away from this position, but the fact that it's just the fact of the position is too good. These catapults are in a great spot where they can simply fire away at all the units that would be approaching on the low ground. It's a little bit too hard, I would say, to do that. If I was NorM, what would I do if I was NorM? I would try to make it impossible for Rynus to move off the hill. So I would probably set up army. Well, I don't know what I would do specifically. I would probably try and flank around, get some army here, flank, and then just attack on all sides. In some cases, positioning can be stronger than unit composition. It's interesting in this game, right? And if you surround a catapult army, that means that all the catapults are going to have to won't be able to concentrate their fire onto one position. And so I'm very curious to see how or if NorM is going to be able to pull this off. It looks like NorM is going to decide to bypass this mech army, and instead he's going to send his main fighting force to his opponent's base in order to try and deal as much economic damage to his opponent, try to get as much advantage as he possibly can. It looks like Rynus is ending up going for that catapult drop. Very curious to see if he got that upgrade. Looks like Rynus was able to get that offensive mech upgrade going at the same time. And so as we can see here, these catapults are doing a fantastic job of moving into position, surrounding NorM's army, especially as they're overextended. And now NorM in this tricky situation where he has to decide to go even further into Rynus's base in order to get value for the units that he's going to lose in this case. At the same time, oh my goodness, where did all these mages come from? At the same time, Rynus moving his catapults to the other side of the map to try and do as much economic damage to his opponent, but these mages came out of nowhere. But as we can see here, these mages are extremely low at this point. NorM went from probably about 20 mages now down to 2. And so, as we see, going from decimating to completely eliminating the force that NorM had at that position. It's 15 catapults against 4 mages, and as at this point, NorM realizes that it is time to say, GG, well played, Rynus, and well played, actually. Really, really fun game to watch. I really enjoyed getting to see how this positioning for Rynus worked out, and I thought that was really amazing. Really amazing to watch. So absolutely fantastic game. If you guys enjoyed watching this video, please leave a like. Please subscribe for content that I try and put out daily. And I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye-bye.